today is on mothers and Mother's Day and the Divine Feminine. And I don't know if you saw the story on the internet. I read it on one of the Irish newspapers online. And it's about this 82-year-old woman named Eileen. And she was given up for adoption by her mother. And so she grew up in an orphanage. And all of her life, she has made efforts to try and find her mother. And she said that every day she thought of her mother and she loved her. She just knew that her mother had some valid reason for giving her up, and she bore no animosity towards her. She would send her love every day. And so, as I said, she tried many times to try and find her, but couldn't. And she called into a program on national radio service back home. You know, it's a small country, so there's one major radio station that most people listen to. And she explained her plight. And so the presenter of the program decided to try and help her out, and he got a genealogist to try and track down her mother. So a month ago, the genealogist found out who her mother was. And her mother is still alive at 104. So her mother, in fact, was 104 on Friday, and living in Scotland. And so she, the daughter, Eileen, with her husband and her own daughter, got on a flight and went to the address that the genealogist had given them, and showed up at the door and introduced herself. And of course, they had a wonderful reunion. I just thought that was such a beautiful story, the not giving up, you know, at 82 years of age, to discover your mother. And she said they had 3 wonderful days together, and of course it was really challenging for her to leave and go back to Ireland. But she did so with a grateful heart for having finally discovered and finding her mother. And you know, I just feel like that it was that daily love that she extended that made that bridge possible and created this experience for her. So on a lighter note, or you may even say on a, oh yes, there's a slide that I have. So there she is. Is that your sister, Magdalene? Sure looks like it. So of course, on Mother's Day, we all think of our mothers, don't we? And I have another slide. So this is my mom, who I've introduced to you, I think, before. Her name was Ellen. And hard to believe, for me, that's 21 years since she passed. So, hi there. So, as I was saying, from the sublime to the ridiculous, I have some quotes from the mothers of some famous people. Mona Lisa's mother. All that money your father and I spent on your braces, and that's the biggest smile you can give us. Humpty Dumpty's mother. Humpty, if I told you once, I've told you 1,000 times, don't sit on that wall, but would you listen to me? No. Columbus's mother. I don't care what you discovered, you could have written. Michelangelo's mother. Mike, can't you paint on the walls like everybody else? Do you know how challenging it is to clean the ceilings? Abraham Lincoln's mother, again with the stovepipe hat? Can't you be like the other teenagers and wear a baseball cap? Albert Einstein's mother. But Albert, it's your senior picture. Can't you do something about your hair? And Jonah's mother, Jonah of the whale story. That's a nice story, but now tell me where you really were for the history. And Thomas Edison's mother, of course I'm proud that you invented the light bulb, but would you turn off the light and go to sleep?  'Cause, 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 'c There's nothing as precious or as sacred, perhaps, as a piece of yarn, a piece of construction paper, and a block of wood with a couple of holes drilled in it. Those of you who are celebrating Mother's Day with us today know exactly what I'm talking about. These items might have been the key ingredients in a celebration in your life someday in the past, and they may be some of your proudest possessions. Perhaps by themselves, these things might appear to be nothing much in particular, but when you put them together and add a little pinch of love, they can become the most precious gifts that a mother may ever receive. These gifts are made with pure joy, and they're given in pure love and with no thought of return. They are made and given just for the sake of giving. And maybe that's why that they are so valuable then to mothers. It's not that they're expensive or that they cost a lot, but they are priceless. And maybe your mother kept a box, or she had a drawer in which she put lots of things like that. And when you opened the box or the drawer, you found all of these priceless treasures, treasures that at least were priceless to her. As I say, a piece of construction paper, but if you look at the piece of paper, you will find it glued to another piece of paper that has been cut into the shape of a hand, and it looks just like a turkey. And it was given to Mom or to you on Thanksgiving Day. And then the paper doily, it was cut into the shape of a heart, and perhaps given to you on Valentine's Day. Or a piece of tissue paper that was made into a flower and given to you on Mother's Day. The piece of wood with the holes cut in it, and in the center is a picture of your child. And a piece of yarn is threaded through the other holes so that it could hang as an ornament on your Christmas tree. There seems to be nothing as precious or as sacred as a gift from a small child. It's especially so, isn't it, on Mother's Day? You really do treasure those gifts. And perhaps as I'm talking about this, you have lots of memories coming back. Recently, on Easter Sunday, Lita very generously donated a whole load of stuffed animals, rabbits, and we had a whole collection, about 20-something of them out there. And after the service, I was standing back there getting something to eat, and I saw something that was just so cute and so endearing. This little girl who had just received one of the rabbits was holding it in both of her hands, and she had it up in front of her, and she was very delicately touching her nose to the rabbit. And she was just like saying all these little lovely, I love you, and all the rest. And it was so endearing. She had just been given this rabbit, and already she was totally bonded with the rabbit. And it just showed, how easy and how simple it is when we're open, that we can have that sense of connection and bond with something inanimate, not to mention something animate like a human being. And it struck me that that's what the mothering instinct and the grandparenting instinct is all about. It's like when you see, as we have recently, where someone gives birth for the first time, and the experience just completely takes them over. I don't know if you saw the interview with the Prince in England. He was out of his mind that morning as he was talking to the press. He was as high as a kite, because this being had come into his life and changed everything. And that's the way it is with a mother and a baby. It's this incredible energy that overtakes us all and changes everything, changes our whole perspective. And as we know that grandparents especially get the same way. They become so doting over the grandchildren. Recently, a friend of mine was sharing with me that her husband was quite strict with their children when they were raising them. And he was somewhat aloof and very much in his head. And now that he has a granddaughter, he has become, as she said, a blubbering fool. Every time he's around her, there are tears. He just gets so emotional. And he's even composed and written songs that he sings to her. And he's monitoring everything to do with his granddaughter. And whether the room is warm enough or not. And my friend said that would never have happened with their children. It's like, well, the cold will build character. He doesn't say that with the granddaughter. So what is it about, again, a grandchild that melts your heart? It's this incredible energy, isn't it, of connection and of love. And we're celebrating that energy today, all of us. And maybe we didn't necessarily get that energy from our mother, but hopefully there's someone in our life who nurtured us. There must be, or I don't think we would be here, would we? And that bond and that connection is at the heart of divinity. It's at the heart of the creative impulse that wanted to create all of this, to share itself, to have something to relate to, and to have that wonderful connection, and to be a proud parent, just like you are a proud parent or grandparent. And we get to experience that care then throughout all of creation, if we have eyes to see it. We can look out there, or we can look up here at this beautiful arrangement. Thank you, Christy. So look at these beautiful flowers, each one of them so unique and so colorful, and when they come together, they create this magnificent bouquet. That's the care of God. That's the love of God in expression for us, the parental love for each one of us. And I know that many of you, if you don't have a drawer or you don't have a box, you do have a fridge. And that becomes a kind of an altar, doesn't it? Where you put the drawings that your kindergarten brings home, or later if they get diplomas or they get awards, those things go up on the fridge and the pictures go up there so that you can see them every time you go to the fridge. So I was wondering, if we were to take a trip to heaven and go to God's kitchen, and if we were to take a look at the fridge door, what priceless artifacts, metaphorically, would be on God's refrigerator? What memories of us does God treasure the most? Do you think it would be all of the highlights of your life? Or might it be the times that you screwed up, that you fell flat on your face? Because let's face it, isn't it the variety that gives spice to life? If it's all just the awards, then it's all kind of the same. But each of us has our unique screw-ups, don't we? Oh, come on. You're not kidding me. We all have our magnificent, wonderful screw-ups. And I'm sure God has all of those pasted all over the fridge door. All those times when we colored outside the lines. So I invite us to listen, this is a little different, to listen to a song that Karen Taylor Good wrote called God's Refrigerator.
I was feeling kinda down, like nobody really cared. So I crawled under the covers where I could say my prayers. I said, God, if you love me, why don't you show me a sign? I fell asleep soon after, and this dream came to my mind. I found myself in the great beyond, in a great big house, and the me as his child, or that he was thinking of me so dearly all the while. But there I was up on that door for all the world to see. I was precious to him, and he thought the world of me. And there I was in the great beyond, in a great big house, and the house was God's, and he took me by the hand and led me to his kitchen. And taped up to this giant fridge were pictures of me as a kid, and every drawing that I ever did was with one. Well, there's no higher high, no feeling greater than seeing yourself on God's refrigerator. Beyond in a great big house, and the house was God's, and he took me by the hand and led me to his kitchen. And taped up to this giant fridge were pictures of me as a kid, and every drawing that I ever did was for gold. Well, there's no higher high, no feeling greater than seeing yourself on God's refrigerator. Forgotten and blue, but I saw pictures of you up there too.
Yes. It's all so simple, really, isn't it? We all respond to the simple things. So, there's the image I want to leave with you today for Mother's Day. You're on God's refrigerator. We are all part of this wonderful, creative, divine energy. We are loved, and we are love. So I invite us to enter into a time of meditation as we think about the maternal love that God has for each one of us. We can picture perhaps our real mother or grandmother or someone that was really special to us, sitting in a chair, just inviting us with open arms to come and sit in their lap. And that's what God is doing right now, inviting us to just take a break, to just sit on its lap, and to rest knowing that we are safe and we are secure because we are always held in the arms of God, always in God's lap, wrapped so tenderly. And the invitation is always to come home. To come home into the silence of our being. To feel ourselves being supported. And if there's an anxiety or a concern that you're carrying, imagine that you let go of it now. From your heart to the mother's heart, you give over the care or anxiety. As you hear the divine words, let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be fearful. Bring me your cares, release them and let them go. And just feel your body relaxing, going deeper into that place of oneness with the mother. Be fully in God's presence. Allow yourself to meld there. to become one. Because it's the truth. We are always one. If we would just take the time to feel it and to know it. We are always in God's presence. And in that mother's heart of the divine, we are totally understood. God understands every choice we've ever made, every action we've ever taken, and offers us acceptance. And in receiving that acceptance, we can forgive ourselves and forgive others. And in this place of union in the heart of God, we can know peace and we can know forgiveness. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be fearful. I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. And as we prepare to open our eyes, we take these divine words, words of life and abundance. We bring them with us as we come back to the room, grateful for this day. Thank you, God.